Hello all. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded, and part of it is because I've been a little under the weather. Not sick really, but just recovering from my surgery. Um, and also because I've been doing some researching and gathering up some facts and everything. Tonight I am going to be, or today, whichever one you're watching, I'm going to be doing some drama salad, and that means I'm going to be doing some touching on different areas of YouTube drama that I've been following. And the first thing I want to start with is the controversy around a YouTuber known as Madam. She also goes by Mannequin sometimes. And the big drama on that one is that she has been accused of some really not nice things. And to start with, I discovered her because another YouTuber that I can't remember, I apologize, that I was following mentioned that Madam was talking about taking Onision, which we all know is a controversial figure in itself, but she was going to be taking Onision to small claims court to sue him because of the so-called false copyright claim he made on her. Well, at the time, she was a relatively small creator, and I came over to her channel and I watched some of her videos besides the one talking about Onision, and I mostly liked what she had to say, and I liked her style, and so I subscribed to her to see where things were going. Well, since then, I found out that she had acquired another creator's art and did not credit her for it. Now, the other artist, the artist that she got the art from, she said she commissioned, but actually she didn't. What she did was she talked to the artist who goes by, and I apologize if I don't pronounce this right, Slimmers Chaotic. I don't know if that's pronounced correctly, but we'll just call her Slimmers. Slimurs is the way the first part is spelled, and the reason I want you to know this is so that you can give this artist some love, because she's been very classy about the whole situation, unlike Madam. But basically the rundown is that she used some artwork, offered to pay Slimmers for it. Slimmers didn't have the ability to take payment, so she agreed that she would allow Madam to have her art in return for being credited and getting a shout out on an upcoming video that Madam was going to be doing on J Station. Well, as it turned out, she did not credit the artist, and when Slimmers happened to mention it in a thread or a live stream, Madam got really upset and went on this rant. As a matter of fact, she did a video on it where she ranted and at least 50 times talked about how unprofessional this young artist was. Now, the thing about it is, this young artist is 15 years old, and she's talented enough to where Madam wanted her artwork. And you know, there's other videos about this, so I won't go into all the little details. But basically, she never did give credit. And at some point, she said she put on her, even though she continued to use the art, she eventually put in credits saying she credited no one because of their being unprofessional. I don't see how Slimmers was being unprofessional when she is not a professional artist. She did not receive payment for this artwork. All she asked was for credit and acknowledgement, which she never got. So I don't understand how Madam sees the other girl as being unprofessional. Well, in my research, I've also discovered that this was not the only time this has happened. She has also used the art of, according to another source, of a creator who went by OMGIJ242. And I'm not familiar with which art that was, so I don't know that much about it. I just saw that it had been commented on several times by different people. So there's, there was a big stink made of it, because a lot of artists and other creators got upset about the fact that Madam never credited this artist. And in the middle of all of this, we find out some other things about Madam. Now, Madam's, I'm told her name is Ashley. And like I said, I discovered her because I had heard that she was, and she had spoken on this in previous videos, where she was going to be taking Onision to court. But in order to do that, because she lived on the East Coast, and Onision would have to be sued in his home state, which is on the West Coast in Washington State, that she would have to not only raise the money to pay the court processing fees and everything, but she would also need travel money. She would need accommodations, food, travel, like car fare and other expenses like that. So she asked for her followers or her subscribers to help her raise these funds through her Patreon. And she was asking for around $1,000 or so. Now, I don't know how much she actually raised, because I'm not in her Patreon, but she did at one point say, and I'll give her credit for this, that she had raised sufficient funds, and that anybody that wanted to unsubscribe from her Patreon, she would understand, because she had raised the money that she needed to raise. Well, after all this stink about Slimmers came out, she went offline for a while. And she had been talking about the time, the upcoming date that she would be traveling to Washington to have this court case. Well, once the Slimmer controversy came about, like I said, she claimed that for legal reasons she was forced to leave YouTube. She wouldn't be able to use her Madam name anymore. A lot of other stuff that was not true. And in the meantime, she was posting pictures of herself in Washington State, going to concerts, buying CBD and medical marijuana edibles and other things like that, talking about how she was visiting with a friend and all this. But she refused to answer any questions about whether or not she was still going to be suing Onision, whether there was actually a case in the first place, if he really did false copyright claim her video, which he has been known to do, so it was believable at the time. But when questioned about it, she refuses to answer any questions about this. So there's a lot going on here, and understandably there are a lot of creators who are not happy with this young woman. Another thing is the supposed expose video she was going to be doing on Jay Station. That never happened either. In one of her videos, she claimed furries were coming after her and her channel, and she said it kind of as a parody, but apparently she thinks that these artists that were asking her why she didn't credit Slimmers for her art, a lot of them apparently had avatars or did artwork that involved animals, so she assumed for some reason that they were furries. So these were the furries that were supposedly attacking her. But apparently she really doesn't know how a commission works, because, like I said, um, she never paid the young woman. She never gave her credit. She never gave her the shout out on the J Station video. She would not have acknowledged her whatsoever. And as a matter of fact, she went as far as to try to dox this young woman by giving out a phone number of hers, which turned out to be a computer number and not a regular phone number. But she attempted to dox her, told some very personal business of hers, and claimed that she was a liar about it, and just was an all-out scumbag about the whole deal. Scumbag, sorry. But she was an all-out scumbag about the whole deal. And yeah, she's not very popular anymore these days. And the thing about it was that she had just celebrated getting like 50,000 viewers, and a lot of those subscribers were because people wanted to show their support for her suing Onision. And of course, all indications are is that's not happening. So it's going to be interesting to see how many people unsubscribe from her, and how many people are going to be wanting refunds from their Patreon pledges because of this. Well, oh, and she also claims she has agents working for her that have investigated this, that, and the other, and came up with all this dirt on Slimmers, which has not proven to be true whatsoever. The thing that she supposedly was going to expose J Station about is another story I'll touch on later on. But if you want to hear the full details, I think the most in-depth video I have seen on this is by a creator called Tim G. That's capital T, I M, capital G. And I think he has done the most in-depth work on this subject, and has more details than just about anybody else. And he will tell you a lot of the same things I did, and probably more things that I didn't touch on. Now, as far as the also, Madam claimed that at some point after a bad breakup, she ended up going into a mental institution. That she was forced to go to a mental institution because of a crooked cop. And when she got there, she talked about how horrible the conditions were, and how she was forced to be in urine-soaked clothes, and this, that, and the other, and how she and this other person got together with this lawyer, and they were shutting down this mental facility, or this mental health facility in Florida. And she claimed it was going to be on the news and everything else. That hasn't happened either. There's been nothing in the news about anything like that, to my knowledge. Now, some of the other creators that have done videos on Madam, that may have done more videos since, is also Toasty Vanilla, Spocter, Nawny, which is spelled Nawnii, and I'm sorry, I'm referring to my notes, and MacMan. So, like I said, during this time that she's supposedly out there suing Onision, like I said, she's going to concerts. Some people say she went to see 3 Days Grace. Some people said she went to see Breaking Benjamin. She may have done both. I don't know. Now, the thing about J Station, first of all, I think he's an idiot, personally. He obviously targets his content currently to prepubescent kids, I'd say, because nobody else would believe. Because he used to do prank videos and stuff. Now he's doing really bad spook videos as far as 3 a.m. creepy stuff, like the day after a popular rapper and YouTuber took his own life, he did a video on trying to contact him on the Ouija board. And things like that, you know, things that were just tasteless and strange and not funny and not believable, but that's another story. So I didn't like him to start with, and then I kept hearing things about how he treated people he worked with very badly. In one case, there was someone who was not only working with him but became his roommate, a guy named Wes. And according to Wes, they went together to visit a young woman. They were in one part of Canada, I think Toronto, and they went to Ottawa to visit this young woman. And while they were there, Wes wanted to visit with his family. And it was going to be taking a little bit longer than he expected, or he had asked for a little extra time to wait until his mother got home to tell her goodbye, because they were leaving a little sooner than he thought they would. And because he was really persistent and wanting to wait and say goodbye to his mother, he says that that Jay left him stranded in Toronto. Let me double check that. Yeah. And the reason that they were there in the first place was in order for Jay to spend some time, and ultimately he spent the night with a young woman who apparently had some mental issues and is said to be a minor. Now, I don't have a whole lot of details on that. I'm just going by what Jay has said on his videos, what Wes has said, and what other people have said about the situation. I haven't verified this, but that's what's being said. So that's the drama on that. And this young woman's name was Alexia, apparently. Some of the other drama that's going on, of course, is the Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star videos, which I have found to be interesting. I've been watching. I watched the last series they did together. I like Shane. I like Jeffree. I don't, obviously, I'm not a beauty follower for the purposes of learning how to do my makeup, because I don't wear makeup most of the time. Except for a wedding I went to earlier this year. It's probably been a couple of years since I've worn makeup. But I still like the drama, and I find these people interesting. So, and there's been some talk that certain people are getting shaded in the videos, which I haven't really seen that just yet. But I knew there's been a lot of controversy involving James Charles, and he's just someone that I find annoying. I don't find him interesting whatsoever. To me, he just acts like a spoiled child. He is pretty, and he does have some talent in the, with makeup and everything, but like I said, as far as his behaviors, there's a list of scandals that can go along with that I'm not even going to get into. And getting back to Onision. Well, I'm sure almost everybody knows that Onision has been in a lot of controversy because of his previous love interests, his ex-wife, his ex-fiance, an ex-girlfriend, and some other people that he was either involved with or just knew well have come out and talked about his bad behaviors behind the scenes. And none of this is really surprising to anybody who's been following him, unless you happen to be a 14-year-old girl and you're buying into his crap. But the most troubling recently has been that he had been tweeting quite a bit while his spouse has been MIA from YouTube and other forms of social media. He, I say she sometimes. I am not totally convinced that Kai is trans. I believe she is a transgender. That's my personal opinion. I could be wrong, and if I prove to be wrong, I would be happy to apologize for that. But I just don't believe it, because their behaviors just don't match a lot of what I know from trans people that I know personally. And of course, you can't judge everybody by the same measurements, but that's just my personal feelings, is that Kai is not a true trans person. But time will tell. Again, I don't mind being corrected, and I don't mind apologizing when I'm proven wrong, because I'm the first to say that I'm not always right about everything, but I just have a gut feeling about this. But anyway, the reason that Kai took time off of the internet is because all these things were coming out about her behaviors, his behaviors, Kai's behaviors towards a young lady that they became more or less foster parents to. And Kai claimed that nothing inappropriate ever happened while this young woman, Sarah, was living with them. That they never snuggled in bed, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. And come to find out through Sarah's evidence and other people's evidence that there was indeed physical contact, sexual conversations, nude photos, etc., being exchanged between not only Sarah but other young women around the time when Sarah was a minor. And some of these other young women were minors as well. So because of that backlash, this was why Kai was no longer online for a while. And during that time, Onision was putting out some really bizarre, disjointed videos and a lot of tweets that were tinged with what some people consider BDSM or violent content and references. And then because Kai was away so long, some people were concerned, and they apparently contacted the police in the county that they live in order to do a welfare check because of the violent content of his tweets, of Onision's tweets. And it was proven through that Kai was indeed safe and sound and was keeping in contact with a personal friend, but not anybody online. But it was also revealed that when Onision was making these violent and strange tweets, it was during a time when he was with his daughter at the hospital for an unknown reason. So that's also very concerning. And I know from what's been said that the authorities are looking into the situation, and I fully expect that there will be some repercussions from that. What I'm concerned about, though, is despite Onision's predatory and abusive behavior towards females in the past and females in his current subscriber list, especially in Patreon, that will be swept aside in favor of prosecuting Kai for their behavior with the nude pictures and sexual behavior and talk towards the other minor females. So it's just a matter of time before that one plays out and we see where that goes. Now, I don't know how many of you follow the First Amendment auditor community. But there's a little bit of drama there as well, especially involving Josh Abrams. Now, he goes under with the channel name Accountability for All, although he's worked with other auditors such as Auditing America and some others that I don't come to mind right away. Well, apparently he's had some falling out with some of these people, and he had been exposed for a situation where allegedly his girlfriend, her name is Danielle, and she's referred to as Hot Tow Truck Girl for some reason, that she was supposed to be going to Chicago to be on the Judge Mathis show and to defend herself in small claims court over back rent or something like that. Well, for some reason, even though in situations like that where you're going to be on a TV show, they will pay for you and usually a witness or a family member. They will pay for your travel, they will pay for your lodging, they give you vouchers for food, and sometimes what they call walking around money. And you also get paid for the show, and whoever wins or loses the court case, that money is usually picked up by the show as well. Well, allegedly, he claimed that they were going to Chicago in order to help out a fellow auditor. And he claims that while they were there, he paid for the airline tickets, he paid for the lodging, he paid for the meals, he paid for all this stuff for himself and for some other people. And they were there to help bail out one of their friends. Now, there's been a lot of different stories about what part is really true, because if he traveled there under the expense of Judge Mathis's show, then very little would have been paid out of pocket, if anything. But he not only claimed to be paying it out of his own pocket, but he had his followers put money on his PayPal in order to help this friend, etc. And in the long run, that friend never received any of that money, and the people didn't get their money back either. And there's been a couple other situations where Josh has claimed to need money for certain things, like when he was arrested during the Straight Pride Parade, he claimed a bunch of stuff about that that turned out not to be true as far as I could see. But one of the things, he kept asking for money to put on his for phone calls, to put on his PayPal so he could make phone calls to his lawyer and the girlfriend, and in order to keep in touch. And when he called the girlfriend, he would be live streaming through his, through the phone call. And the thing about it is, though, is if he was as broke as he says he was, then he would have qualified for a public defender. And from what I'm told, because I've never been arrested, so I don't know, but phone calls to your public defender would be free. But he was claiming he needed this money in order to stay in touch with his lawyer, and that the money that had already been raised was a down payment to his lawyer, and there's just a lot of convoluted mess about money. And of course, since he's been out, there's also been issues about where the money's going. There's allegedly been a drug deal that was captured on live stream, and there's been situations where people have found his previous criminal record and talked about that. So there's just a whole lot of mess going on with this guy. And a lot of allegations about his habits and where the money's really going and all that. So that's something that I'm still working on, and most of the people who follow the First Amendment auditors are already aware of all this stuff. And then there's the matter of the sovereign citizens and Sharon Tracy Gale Bay, who is a former lawyer, and I think I heard she might have been a judge at one time before she fully embraced the sovereign, not the sovereign citizenship, I'm sorry, the Moors, the Moorish community. And if you're not familiar with the Moors, they are a group of people who claim to be the true indigenous people of the United States, and that we are going, and some claim that we are all non-Moorish people will eventually become the slaves of the Moors because it's their true kingdom. And there's a lot of entitlement and misinterpretations of the Constitution. And like the sovereign citizens, they refer to Black's Law Dictionary for a lot of their legal bases, and it's a law dictionary that was outdated decades ago. But yet this is where they get their information, and they base their belief system on it. So there's a lot out there on that I don't even know where to begin on how to cover it all. There are also a lot of other Moors online, one of whom I have been involved with helping to take down one channel in a small way, because when this person who goes by Devon Bay, he now uses a different name on a different channel, but he made threats towards other YouTube creators for using some of his content. And the way it was used was totally within the Fair Use Act, but he doesn't understand fair use, so he made the claims that it was theft, that that those of us who had a problem with him making claims were threatening him, when in fact he was making threats against these creators' families, and it got vile. We'll just put it that way. It got very vile. There was more than one person that he was threatening, but a couple of them, I know for sure, like I said, use his content in a fair way, and was well within terms of service and of YouTube standards. So that's another thing. And I guess there's another community. Some people call it the feeder community. Some people consider it the weight loss community, but there are a couple of channels that I'm aware of that are, that I follow sometimes. I don't really watch the YouTubes directly. I watch the people who comment on these. One of them involved a woman that is a commentator named Charlie Gold. I have always found her to be respectful, to be fair, to be very honest about her own struggles with her weight and eating disorder, which is some of the things this community talks about a lot. And there was a particular commentator, I think she goes by Shaquana Jefferson, who attacked Charlie because of comments that were made about another person who was overweight, and she goes by Foodie Beauty, but I think her real name is Chantal. And Charlie had some things to say about that and someone else. And this Jefferson person just went after Charlie in a very heinous way, and, criticized not only Charlie's opinion of these other women, especially one in particular, but she went after her as being the token black female, and went after her talking about how dark-skinned she was, and, all that, and just brought race into something that had nothing to do with anything and was totally unnecessary, and then started attacking other people because they defended Charlie. And this woman has gone above and beyond the nasty scale in the way she has talked to people in the weight loss community. So these are the things I'm following right now on YouTube. If you are interested in any more information on these stories or other stories that I haven't covered, just let me know. One person made a comment a while back because I had posted that I had information that I was about to release about Onision, but I never made a video on it. And, they were kind of upset with me because I never made the video. And that was because there was a lack of response to ones I had made before. So I didn't bother because there was so much already. This was around the time that it was that people were coming out and speaking up about Onision's history with previous love interests. And I knew a little bit about it, but I hadn't made any real content on it before other people started coming out with it. And and there were so many other people doing it that I just didn't bother because I just wasn't getting the views. So as always, I will say, if there's something in particular you'd like covered that I don't cover, let me know. I'll be glad to do it. At the moment, I'm not working outside of the home. I'm recovering from surgery. I spend a lot of time online. I follow musicians. I follow actors. I follow a lot of different types of people on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, in other areas online as well. So if there's anything in particular you want to see covered that hasn't been covered already, or that you'd like me to go in more depth with, just let me know and I'll be glad to do that for you. There's also a series I'm going to be doing on Facebook that if you'd like to see that here as well, just let me know. But because it's Halloween month, well, I call it Halloween month, October, I'm going to be talking about the origins of Halloween and Samhain, and the legends of the different monsters that are typically in monster movies or horror movies, especially around Halloween. Vampires, werewolves, mummies, zombies, things like that. I'm going to be delving into where these legends, how the traditions and stories and legends started on these. Some of these actually have some basis in fact, or at least fact as they knew them at the time. And so I'd be glad to cover that on this channel, on YouTube as well as on Facebook. But for now, I'm just going to be putting it on Facebook because I don't put all of my YouTube drama on that channel because a lot of people aren't familiar with who I'm talking about because they don't follow YouTube as much as I do. So that's going to be all for now. But like I said, anything you in particular you want to see, just let me know. And I will do my best to cover it. If I can't cover it or I can't find any information that's not already out there, I'll be forthright and let you know about it. For those who have asked, I am not going to be doing any videos about me doing karaoke or anything like that, because right now I still don't have my voice. I mean, I have a speaking voice, but I'm not able to sing. So I'm, going to be checking on that. I have a doctor's appointment coming up, and that's something we're going to talk about, because we don't know what's going on with that at the moment. But as far as my back surgery, I am healing. I'm not fully recovered yet. I'm still using my cane and sometimes my my crutches, mostly for balance, and because I don't have full strength in my legs yet. But other than that, I'm doing pretty well. I'm thankful that my surgery was very minimal. Mostly what they did was free up the nerve, and they didn't operate on the vertebrae itself. So I'm not going to be 100%, because I wasn't 100% before the accident. Alright, so I guess that's going to be it, except to say I have a few loyal followers out there. Some of them are from the live stream that I go on a regular basis. And it's called No Good Reason to Stream. We are usually on, I think it's on Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, Saturday nights, sometimes Sundays. I don't get to go on stream every time, so I sometimes lose track of when they're on. But it's a commentary stream. Even though people will come on sometimes and say, we like the videos you show, but you talk too much over the videos. Well, there's a whole group of us that are talking. I don't host the show, but I thoroughly enjoy it. And it's mostly sarcasm, off-color jokes, nothing mean-spirited, but it's the kind of humor that's not for everyone. But if you have a quirky sense of humor and you think you might like it, go check out No Good Reason to Stream. And on Friday nights we do a POS movie on the Facebook page, where we watch some of the worst movies we're able to find. So, and that's something I actually did in college as well. We used to have little competitions on who could find the worst movie, and I was able to find some pretty bad ones that we thoroughly enjoyed. So thank you to my regulars, and some of the ones in particular I'd like to shout out is Desert Sentinel, the Cat Nat, Doc, and I'm sure there are several others that I'm forgetting about from the stream, but I do appreciate each and every one of my regular followers. There are some others, crossovers from Facebook, that I appreciate, and I will try to remember to shout y'all out next time, even though nobody's asked me to. I just wanted to show my appreciation for your support. So in the meantime, until my next video, which I'm not sure when that'll be yet, but I'll try to have one up by the middle of next week. But thank you again for your support. Thank you for the jokes. Thank you for, the well wishes and the, and everything concerning my surgery. And I will try to have some good content for you next time. So take care, everybody, and we'll see you then.